for training purposes. I've been doing these a lot lately. And it would be really nice if some point we can just kind of take it to a little bit more of an automated, so that you don't have to listen to me for drone on for an hour and a half. And we can, you can take it maybe in pieces, do, different modules and things like that. So, but for now, you're stuck with me and we'll go through this together. I do like being able to answer your questions directly. And to see your faces if you turn your cameras on at some point. You do not have to have your cameras on, but if you wish to, absolutely love to see your faces. We have been growing as a company tremendously. Even though I say we've been in business for 8 years, in many ways we are a startup company. In the last year of our business, coming out of COVID and all of that, our business has unbelievably multiplied. It's like the turtles. We have just grown so much to the point where we need to grow our staff. We need to grow our IC base for editors. And if any of you are mystery shoppers, we need you as mystery shoppers as well. You being an IC editor does not prevent you from shopping with us. Absolutely does not. The only thing we would require is that you're not editing your own reports. There is just a little conflict of interest there, right? But we do, just for interest, how many of you actually are mystery shoppers?
I am not.
Anybody?
I'm not either.
Okay, Shannon, I see a hand up there. Okay, so maybe we've got one. If you are, it's a huge help, because you will understand what we're doing. You will understand the type of reporting, the information that we're looking for, and it will tremendously help in what you do. If you have never done a mystery shop before, if you are not familiar with it, I strongly advise that you go to our website and you look for a shop somewhere near you and go out and complete one. When you complete a shop, you have a very healthy respect for what shoppers go through. Okay. We kind of operate what I call in this industry as a three-legged stool. Okay. We have the company, we have the client, and we have the shopper. We cannot stand without each other. We cannot be in business without each other. So to say that, sometimes you'll hear people grumble about, oh my gosh, this shopper didn't do this right, or this shopper didn't write that right. Well, we need them. So what we need to do as editors is we need to help them. We need to understand what it is that they're doing. On the company side, we need to help. We need to make sure that what we expect of them is very clear, that we explain it in a very detailed fashion so that there is not a lot of ambiguity, and that for the client, that last leg of that stool, but that very important leg of that stool, we're delivering exactly what they want. What we expect from editors, what our client expects from editors, is that final product that we deliver to them is going to be professional and worthy. I see a lot of reports come in that are beautifully written, great detail, proper sentence structure, everything is wonderful. Those are the rare ones. There are a lot more that you would swear have never written a sentence in their life, because you won't see any punctuation, or you'll see someone who speaks all in exclamation points in capital letters, none of which is professional, and we want to go to our client. So that's why we need our editors to have a very healthy command. We ask that you all have Grammarly and use Grammarly. You do not have to use the paid version whatsoever. I use it. I use the free version. It's wonderful. If you have not already installed it, please do. If you use it for your entire life, it's a very wonderful thing. It's nice to send out emails that are not with misspellings and all of that and things you don't cringe and look at and go, oh gosh, I can't believe I just sent that out. Very funny kind of story within our own company going back to the very beginning. But an email was sent out, not by me, to many, many people announcing us as a misery shopping company because they left out the T. And it's like, wow, that's kind of bad. We just told the whole world that we're a misery shopping company. So spelling, spell check, grammar check, it's all super important. But it does make for some funny stories once in a while. But when you're telling our clients that the name of their business is, and we just had it happen recently, we have a client called Koalify, like a koala bear. Except that when that shop report was sent in, they referred to that client as quality. Well, guess what happens? If we send that off to our client, we're going to make our client pretty mad because they're going to say, wow, you don't even know the name of the person that's writing the check for you to do this work. So we need to be very, very careful and very sensitive to certain things. We never get the client name wrong, ever, ever. Knowing who the client is, knowing what they're looking for is super important. That's our job on the company side, to relay that to the shoppers and to you as editors, okay, to make sure that you understand what we're looking for. So yes, spelling counts, punctuation counts, correct name of our client, correct name of the person that they interacted with when they went to that site to do that mystery shop. What I need to explain to you too as a mystery shop is the entire customer journey. And that is a phrase that we use in this company. And it's very important. That customer journey is every connection that shopper, who is also a potential or possibly current customer of that client. Okay, you have no idea how many times I read reports from shoppers going, wow, I've never been here before, but I love it and I'll come back. Well, now that client has just done two things. They've gotten a very, independent review of their business, but they've also built a client. They've also built a customer that they will have return because of that experience. But every now and again, you're going to have somebody who has the opposite experience, right? They're going to go and they're going to visit that location and they're going to go, wow, that was not good. I don't want to go back. Well, we're still providing very valuable feedback to our client in letting them know what happened during that customer journey. And hopefully they're taking it back and using that information and improving things going forward, okay, which is why they're looking at us. If we have a client that wants nothing but perfect experiences, they don't need to be mystery shopping, okay, because if they only want good, they're not looking for an honest review. I mystery shop quite a lot. I used to go to a restaurant that almost every single time I went to this restaurant, it was above reproach. I mean, there was nothing you could say about this restaurant. Everything from the minute I stepped, onto their front doorstep to the minute I left was a fabulous experience. The food was great. The service was great. The hostess was wonderful. The bathrooms were clean. Everything was spotless. And you wondered, well, what am I doing as a mystery shopper? Am I doing a really good job for this client? Well, every now and again, after a while, you start to see that there are experiences. And I went there one day and I had a cup of tea, and it was a glass, and there was a giant piece of the cup missing. And had I picked it up and drank from that side of the cup, I would have been bleeding all over their table. So things happen. Things are not always perfect, even when a client's looking like they've got a really good game going. There are always things that happen. So they do need that experience, and it's really nice when they do. But again, that customer journey, from the minute you step out of your car, if you are in their parking lot, your journey begins. Is that parking lot clean? When you approach the door, does it look nice? Does it look clean? Is there music playing? Is there a welcome mat? If it's a restaurant, if it's a retail store, if it's a car showroom, if it's an apartment complex, whatever it is it welcoming from the minute you get there? This is what we are looking for our shoppers. This is what we want to see in these reports. Does the shopper take us through their journey? If they're not giving us enough detail, then maybe we need to come back to them and say, hey, these 2 sentences that you provided for these 6 questions in this paragraph that I was expecting, you're not giving me enough information. Okay. You will also get the shoppers who do the exact opposite. They will tell you every he said, she said of their entire experience. We don't need that. Okay. We want to get somewhere in between. What is most important, and if you, again, for those of you who have not done mystery shop before, what is most important is not what the shopper, what the customer said and did. It's what the employee said and did. Okay. So for the shopper to go in and say, well, I asked for this and I asked for that, and we want to know what they said. What did they offer you? What was that experience? We want to know from their perspective, and we want to know how it made you feel. Okay. But that's another point, is in a mystery shopping report, how a shopper actually felt is important, but it's only important at the very end when we ask, overall, how did you feel about this experience? Because everything else in that report needs to be very objective. It needs to be clear, concise, objective. Okay. If they're in a bad mood when they get there and their report is colored by that, that's not so great. Okay. When they get to the end and they want to say, you know, I was having an off day and I didn't really enjoy my experience, you know, whatever, but they need to see everything that they're doing very objectively. Okay. You can have a fabulous, amazing experience with a server, let's say, or an associate in a retail store, but you can still have a terrible experience. You could have had an awful meal, but a really great server who was super sweet and apologized for everything that happened. But in the long run, you still waited 30 minutes for your meal to come out and it was cold, or it was raw, or whatever it is. So everything needs to be very objective. Okay. That's also why we insist that mystery shoppers do not have a relationship with the places that they shop. Don't go somewhere where your son or daughter or mom or dad are a server or a, you know, a retail associate. We don't do that. We need to keep it very objective. Okay. So kind of giving you a basis of what we do. Again, if you haven't done a shop, it's super important. You should absolutely do a mystery shop for 30 or 40 or 300. There are some of us who've done thousands, and it's always new and exciting. And it's very interesting way to learn different businesses and sometimes get a nice meal or you know, something great. The way we operate on a tiered basis, so that when you get an edit, somebody will have looked at it before you. Anastasia right now that you've just met, Anastasia is helping us with that phase, which we call initial validation. So when a shopper sends in a report, if it is a dining report and they were supposed to get itemized receipts from their experience and upload those and take pictures of their food. Yes, we do ask people to take pictures of their food most of the time. We want to make sure that before that edit comes to you as the second level of those 3, that it has everything that it needs. Okay. So if there's no receipt there, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get that report to review. If they were supposed to make a very specific purchase and they didn't make a very specific purchase, you might not get that report. Okay, it should be kind of checked and made sure before you get it. If they went to the wrong location, so they're shopping a chain and they went to the wrong location, hopefully that report never gets to you. Hopefully we stop it before you see it. Okay, so we try to make sure that all the components are there. That does not mean that you won't get a report that you'll go, oops, I don't think this is okay. It sounds like they did something wrong or they didn't do something they were supposed to. That's going to happen occasionally. We try to limit those experiences because we want you editing viable reports. If it's going to have to be thrown away because they didn't do what they were supposed to do, there's no point in you editing it. And then behind you, so we have that in what we call initial validation, then we have the editing phase, and then we have a QC. And that QC is a team of people, one or the other of a bunch of people that we have that will come in and check behind and kind of look over what you've done, look over everything to make sure that it looks right. That does not mean we're going to dot every I and cross every T. That's your job. Okay, our job is to kind of come behind and make sure that it looks good, make sure that it's ready to go out to the client. I am looking for the cream. I am looking for you guys to rise to the top, to be the best, and to become those next QC editors. That's what we need. Okay, we need people who can do the editing. We need people who can do that QC. It's very important. So the more you do and the better you are at it, that's a possibility for you. There is a lot of work sometimes. Sometimes you might not see a lot of work. It just depends. There's an ebb and flow to our business. We are right now at the very beginning of a month. Last week, insanely busy. This week, editing is insanely busy. We have tons and tons of shops in there. Next week, maybe a little quieter, because it's kind of, it's not the beginning, it's not the end. So maybe it's a little bit quieter. What we do is, because you're ICs, we're not going to ask you to commit to how many hours a week you're going to work, how many edits you're going to do a day, a week, a month. We in turn will not promise you that you're going to get 200 edits this week or this month or whatever. So I always tell people, if you are looking for that extra money to pay the electric bill, go get another sideline job, because this might not be it. If you are looking to stash away some mad money for Christmas, you're in the right place, okay? Because you'll get there, but it's not going to be, something you can absolutely count on. And every editor is available to work, or is able to work 24 hours a day at any hour of the day or night that they want to work. The only stipulation I give you there is that you won't find 24-hour support from Anastasia and I. Anastasia gets to sleep a little bit more. I get to sleep from 2 to 5 a.m. That is, my boss has promised me that. So if you're looking for immediate support on something, okay, understand that yes, we sleep, and understand too that there are a lot of editors and there are 2 of us. So if you reach out and say, I have a problem with something, we will get back to you as soon as we absolutely can, but please understand if it's not super, super fast, we're going to do the best that we can for you. Pay, because everybody likes to know about pay, so I'm going to touch on this very quickly. Pay is by project. Each project will have a commensurate pay associated with it. We try to base our pay on a kind of $15 to $18 an hour, but that's going to depend on you. That's going to depend on how quickly you get through an edit. The first time you do it, I guarantee you it's going to take a lot longer than the 12th time you do it or the 24th time you do it. Okay, so understand that if the first time you do something, you go, holy smokes, that just took me an hour and I'm making $4. Well, the next time you do it, it probably will take you 10 minutes and you'll understand why that works out. or maybe it took you 20 minutes, but it's still gonna, it's still gonna even out at some point. The edits vary greatly from the amount of detail. When you did your demo edits, you did two completely different edits. You got the most comprehensive, which was the 4 eyes, most comprehensive edit. And then you believe you had a Roadrunner, which is a retail experience. Those should not take more than 10 minutes and less. Well, maybe 15, depending on how detailed the shopper was, depending on how good they wrote the report. What's very important, though, is that when we're going through these reports, that we are actually looking very closely at the checked answers versus the written comments. If there's a discrepancy when you get finished editing a report, then we have a problem on the QC part. Okay, those need to balance. You can't have something in the body of the report negating something that was marked yes over here. Happens all the time. It's super important. This is when our QC editors lose their minds, okay? Because they're wondering then, are you really, are people really reading these reports? Are they really understanding what it is that they're looking for? That it's not just dotting the I's and crossing the T's, but it's truly a fact check kind of thing that is super important. So if you have any doubts about something that you're working on, always raise a hand. Okay, we will try to go through some things, some potential edits out there. I will show you some pitfalls. I will show you some things that you really want to be looking out for. And I'm going to show you some ways that you're going to have those helpful hints besides Anastasia and I. Okay, we have an editor portal. It is a work in progress. I will freely admit that, but it is going to get bigger and better all the time. It is meant to be a resource for you online. On our website, you will have a login to it. When I send it to you, there's a password. Just save it. Just save it so that the next time you want to go into it, it opens up right away. No problem. What we're going to have in there are documents to help you. So there's going to be some tips and tricks documents. There is going to be something I wrote the other day, which is the 10 commandments of editing. Not meant in any way to be blasphemous, but just to kind of give you an idea of some of the key things that you're really looking for when you're doing edits. Some basic rules, do's and don'ts, okay? Parentheses, dashes, exclamation points, all of these things, they don't really belong in professional writing, okay? Quotes, very limited. The word very is a 4-letter word. Don't use it, or use it once in a report, not in every sentence. Shoppers use it to qualify every word that they use. Don't use it. The word today never belongs in a report, because by the time you're reading it, it is no longer today. By the time the client is reading it, it is no longer today. No today, no today ever. Contractions, not professional. Break it out, write it properly. Past tense, everything is past tense. Okay, so when you're looking through that 10 commandments of editing, guess what? Everything I just said right there, it's on that 10 commandments. Okay, so those are key important points. Punctuation is not optional. Okay, every sentence must have punctuation. Every sentence must be a full sentence. We don't want half sentences. We don't want run-on sentences. So those kind of things, those are your key markers, okay? And matching that checked answer to that copy. Okay, so getting back to the pay per minute. So every job will have a set fee. We will eventually have something on the website on that editor portal that will show you what those fees are, but just know that they're somewhat in line. If you're really not sure and you absolutely need to know, we'll let you know, but they're going to be pretty much between $2 and $6 an edit, and that's going to be based on how long it should take you to get through it. We pay on PayPal. We pay twice a month. We pay at or around the middle of the month, give or take a day or two. For accounting, it's one person that does it. So if it's not the 15th and it's the 16th or 17th, give a little grace. Maybe next month it's the 14th. At the end of the month, the 30th or 31st, maybe it's the 1st or 2nd. Again, give a little grace, but know that it's coming. We keep track on our end. We have a report that pulls in the system. If you follow the proper procedures that I will lay out for you, everything goes smoothly. You appear on that report. What you did appears on that report, and we send you your pay and a pay statement. If you wish to keep track on your own, absolutely do so. Okay, that is absolutely encouraged. If you wish to do that, absolutely do it. Make sure, however, that you are putting down the pertinent information. Okay, the location number of the edit that you did, the client, the date, all of that information, so that we can match it up if you say, hey, there's a discrepancy and I didn't get paid for something. Okay, but we do keep very good track on our end, but absolutely you can as well. So, all right, we kind of went over the process. We went over the fact that there is an editing portal. We talked about Grammarly. We didn't talk about that. All right, so each of you, I've got to applaud you. This is the first editing class that I have done in a long time where all of you registered in the system as shoppers like we asked you to do. Thank you very much. That allows me to set up your permissions in the system. When I have someone who is not properly set up in the system, I can't get those permissions to you. If you've already registered, but if you've already logged in, when I get finished setting you up, you're going to have a slightly different view. Okay, you'll always be able to see the shops for when you want to go out and do those mystery shops. Yes, yes, yes. But you'll have a slightly different view as an editor. Okay, you do not have it right now. I will take care of that after this call. And if any of you fall asleep or drop off between now and the end of the call, I'll figure that maybe you're not interested, and so we might not do that. And seriously, though, if anybody does decide that this isn't for them, please just let us know. It's okay. I understand this is not for everybody, but please just let us know. It helps that we know how many bodies we have that are working and that are interested. We can only go through a few of the things that we have out there to show you. There will be shops out there that you won't be familiar with. If you have seen something like it, that's great. You can try. If you've not ever done a restaurant shop, we haven't gone through a restaurant shop together, maybe reach out to Anastasia and I and ask, hey, I was looking at this restaurant shop. What do you think? Can I do it? What do I need to know? Okay, that's another thing that we're going to get into. Every shop has what we call a client objectives document. It's available in PDF version. It is also available kind of in a shortcut version. I'll show you how to get to that. Please, before you do an edit, read through it. Okay, when you've done your 24th 4 eyes or your 5th, maybe you don't need to read it again. Okay, but look through it and make sure you understand what the shopper was supposed to do. Make sure that you have a good scope of what that shop is supposed to look like. Okay, we will set up, again, I will show you where to find that within the system that you will be seeing, but we're also going to have that set up for you in the editor portal. And that by next week, I'm going to make sure that all those documents are in there for you to be able to just click and view. All right, but I'll show you how to get to them in other ways as well. But that client objectives document is kind of large, but it's formatted. The format's always going to be the same. It's just the information within that document. So I'll go through that with you. I'll show you what that looks like. All right. Just trying to make sure that I hit on everything before we get to it. So as I mentioned, we have all kinds of different shops. We'll go through a few different kinds. If you can stick in with me, I think Lisa said an hour to an hour and a half. I generally tend to kind of get to that hour and a half. If you can stick with me, great. If for some reason, again, you decide you don't want to do, or you need to leave at some point, just kind of let me know either way. Shannon, you have a hand up. Do you need something now, or I don't know how to, you can unmute and just ask if you have a question.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if I know you have a lot of in-person shops, but do you have virtual ones where it's a web shop or like phone shops or any ones that aren't in person?
We do have phone shops, yes, and I believe I mentioned that we do have phone shops right now for a legal client. We're about to post phone shops for a healthcare client. Yeah, we do. As far as web-based, we kind of have a project, if you will, that can be done web-based. But we do have a client coming on board that wants web shops as well. So yes, absolutely. We have all of those opportunities. Okay. Yeah, and I highly encourage you, if you've never done a mystery shop before, look into doing it. If you have any questions about that, I'm your resource. I'm your girl. I've done a few.